Hi, everybody. This is Dennis. I want to shoot this little podcast here to point out something that I think everybody should be focused on. If you go to the website, diguptheyard.com, right here you get the search warrant. Okay? You click on it. This is a search warrant that FBI agent Jack Schaefer, here's a picture of him here, right here. He was the one the FBI sent to investigate Susan Flores' backyard in relation to Kristen Smart's disappearance. I don't think you can get any more credible person than the individual that the FBI selected to go to investigate this case in this backyard. Okay, so here's a search warrant, and you can read this for yourself because I don't want you taking my word for this. But if you scroll all the way down to the bottom here, it summarizes up in a paragraph right here. This is what I want you to focus on. It says, based on the information in this affidavit, I believe that Kristen Smart is deceased and that her death and or the disposal of her remains are a result of the criminal act. Therefore, and again, this is in FBI agent Jack Schaefer's name here. Therefore, I request to search 529 East Branch Street, Susan Flores' property, for three things. You have Kristen Smart's remains, right here, her personal effects, and third, other items that constitute evidence pertaining to this case. Now, this was taken to a judge, and a judge signed this warrant. And on June 20th of 2000, the Sheriff's Department, they went to this property. They spent all day there. And I was back on the East Coast at the time, and while they were there, one of the neighbors had called me. He was giving me a play-by-play account of what was going on. And but they left the property that day, and they never dug up the yard. So you see here where it says, I believe that, right here, they're supposed to look for Kristen Smart's remains. Well, they never dug up the yard. So how do they know that her remains are not there if they didn't dig up the yard? Now, Under Sheriff Steve Bolts told me in his office that a vote was taken that day whether or not to have the yard dug up. And he said, Dennis, I voted in favor of it, but I was outvoted. He later told a reporter for the San Francisco Chronicle, her name is Stacy Finns, that I was all wrong. I didn't know what I was talking about. And what really happened was Under Sheriff Steve Bolts told the reporter that the first warrant, the warrant you're reading right here, did not authorize a dig. And the vote taken that day was whether or not they should reapply for a second warrant, which would give them authorization to dig the yard. And that was what the vote was about. And it was voted down, according to Steve Bolts. Okay. But here is an email that FBI agent Jack Schaefer wrote to me. And what you do is you go back to the home page here, and you scroll down. I'll always leave this email. This email is very important. Here's Jack Schaefer right here. And read this. Just take a moment and read this. The first warrant authorized a dig. I know this because I provided most of the info for the warrant. Schaefer then goes on to say that he forced the warrant on a skeptical police force. And he was told that the officers present did not want to pay to have the concrete repaired if the search turned up nothing. That was a lost opportunity. Now that was 17 years ago, June 20th of 2000. And we have spoken about Buster the cadaver dog. In 2014, Buster was taken to Susan Flores' property, and Buster alerted to human decomposition on Susan Flores' property. So all Buster did that day was he confirmed what this man right here believes in his heart, where Kristen Smart is today. And I guess I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to understand why that backyard is not being dug up. And I think what's going to need to happen is somebody with a lot more clout than me gets involved. So if you're listening to this and you have the ability to get phone calls returned and people won't blow you off, take a good look at Kristen. Whether or not she's found, it depends on somebody with clout to get the powers that be in San Luis Obispo to get down to Susan Flores' property and dig up that yard. One final thing before I end this podcast. It's important that I make this very clear to people. I don't know if Kristen is buried in Susan Flores' yard. I don't know if any of her personal effects or any other evidence is there. I just do know that there is a search warrant signed by a judge authorizing those cops to get down there and dig up that yard. And it hasn't been done. And they always say we're not going to leave any stone unturned. We got a whole backyard left unturned. And Kristen deserves to have that yard dug up. That's the main point that I want to drive home. All right, thank you.